My name is Alicia Smart. I'm 30 years old. On November 28th, 2024, I sat alone at a table set for 12 people inside the Lakeside Manor, one of Michigan's most expensive restaurants. I had spent $2,850 on a Thanksgiving dinner for my family. Not a single person showed up. My parents didn't come. My older sister Brittany didn't come. My younger brother Connor didn't come. They made a choice that night, a calculated, deliberate choice, to gather at my sister's house instead, leaving me to face the pity of waitstaff and the stares of strangers as I sat there with 12 empty chairs. I cried into a plate of herb-roasted turkey I could barely taste. I felt humiliated, small, disposable. Then, at 7:15, my 88-year-old grandfather walked through those doors. He didn't say a word. He simply placed a manila envelope in my hand. Inside were receipts, screenshots, bank statements, legal documents. And the truth, cold, documented, undeniable, that would flip every single power dynamic in my family upside down. They didn't know Grandpa had been watching, and what they found out next would cost them everything. I need you to understand something about my family. We weren't poor. We weren't struggling. But there was always this hierarchy, an unspoken order of who mattered most. My father, Gerald, is 65 now, retired from middle management at an auto parts supplier. My mother, Diane, 62, worked as a school secretary until she retired 5 years ago. They live in a 4-bedroom house in Farmington Hills, a nice Detroit suburb with good schools and tree-lined streets. Then there's my older sister, Brittany, 35, married with 2 kids. She's always been the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. When she forgot Mom's birthday, it was, "Oh, she's so busy with the children." When I forgot to call on a random Tuesday, I was ungrateful. My younger brother Connor is 27, the baby, the only son. He got a free pass for everything. Failed a class in college? He's finding himself. Couldn't hold a job? He's exploring his options. And then there was me, 30 years old, senior marketing director at a tech firm in downtown Detroit. I made $120,000 a year. I owned my own condo. I had my life together, which, apparently, made me the family ATM. It started small. Summer of 2017. I was 22, just got my first real job making $48,000 a year. Connor called me, voice shaking. "Sis, I'm drowning in student loans. I can't make the payments. They're going to default. Can you help? Just until I get on my feet?" I sent him $8,500, Venmo transfer, October 12, 2017, at 11:47 p.m. I remember staring at my phone, my finger hovering over the confirm button. Then I pressed it. He promised he'd pay me back by Christmas. Christmas came. No payment. No mention. When I brought it up in January, casually, over family dinner, my mother looked at me like I'd slapped her. "Alicia," she said, her voice tight. "You're being petty about money. Family helps family." I said yes. I always said yes. That was my first mistake. The thing about saying yes once is that people expect you to say yes forever. 2 years later, Brittany got engaged. I was happy for her. I really was. She'd been with her husband, Trevor, for 5 years. They had a good relationship. Stable. Normal. Then Mom called. "Alicia, you're doing so well at your job. We were hoping you could contribute to Brittany's wedding. You know how expensive these things are. 10,000 would be appropriate for a sister." Appropriate. Like there was a manual. Like I owed her. I ended up giving $28,000 total. 12,000 for the venue deposit. 3,200 for her dress. Not off the rack, custom. 4,500 for flowers because she wanted peonies, which weren't in season. 8,300 for a photographer she found on Instagram. The wedding was beautiful. I stood in the reception hall, watching Brittany dance with Dad, her white dress spinning under string lights. I felt proud. I felt useful. Brittany never said thank you. Not once. I told myself it didn't matter. This was what families do, right? You help each other. You show up. You give. I didn't know that 5 months ago, Grandpa Lawrence had started keeping score. Between 2020 and 2024, there were 17 emergencies. I have the receipts. Literally. I kept spreadsheets. Color-coded. Dates, amounts, stated reasons. I told myself it was for tax purposes. Really, I think I knew. Some part of me knew. March 2020. Mom texted at 2:34 a.m. Honey, the furnace died. We're freezing. Can you help? 3,500. I sent it by 3 a.m. 6 days later, she posted on Facebook about a lovely weekend getaway to Traverse City. Photos of her and Dad at a winery, smiling, wine glasses raised. September 2021. The roof is leaking. Need 6,800 for emergency repairs. I sent it. That same week, I saw Connor's Instagram story. Him at a concert. VIP section. Bottle service. February 2023. Your father's car broke down. We need a new transmission. 4,200. I asked, doesn't Dad's car have a warranty? Mom's reply, Alicia, he's your father. Are you really going to argue about this? I sent the money. 17 transfers. The smallest was $1,200. The largest was $6,800. They added up. God, did they add up. $127,500. Over 8 years. I kept spreadsheets. I didn't know Grandpa was keeping his own. My grandfather, Lawrence Sterling, is 88 years old. He's my mother's father. A retired lawyer who worked 45 years in estate planning and contract law. He lives alone in Canton, about 20 minutes from my parents, in a modest ranch house filled with law books and old photographs. I visited him maybe once a month. We'd have tea. He insisted on loose leaf, brewed in a proper pot, and talk about work. The weather. Nothing heavy. He always asked the same question. How's work, Alicia? You taking care of yourself? I'd say, yes, Grandpa, I'm good. He'd nod, sipping his tea, and I'd think that was the end of it. He seemed distant sometimes, old-fashioned, out of touch with the messy dynamics of our family. I was wrong. In May of 2024, I stopped by his house after work. He was in his den, surrounded by file folders. He looked up when I came in, smiled that quiet smile of his. Your mother mentioned you've been very generous with the family, he said. His tone was neutral, careful. That's admirable, Alicia. Very admirable. I shrugged. Just helping out when I can. He set down his pen, looked at me over his reading glasses. You're a good daughter. A good sister. I didn't catch the edge in his voice. The way he said good, like it could mean something else. Like it could mean taken advantage of. What I didn't know, he had already started building a case. By the fall of 2024, I was tired. Not just physically tired, though I was that too. Working 60-hour weeks, climbing the ladder at work. I was emotionally exhausted. Every time my phone buzzed, I'd flinch. Was it Mom asking for money? Was it Connor with another crisis? Was it Brittany needing me to babysit for free because you don't have kids? You have time? I started seeing a therapist in October, Dr. Patel. She had an office in Royal Oak with plants in every corner and soft lighting that made you feel like you could say anything. In our third session, she asked me, when was the last time someone in your family asked how you were doing? I opened my mouth to answer. Nothing came out. She waited. I don't remember, I said finally. She nodded, like she'd expected that. Alicia, do you feel like you have to earn their love? I cried. Right there in her office, clutching a tissue, feeling stupid and small. Yeah, I whispered. I think I do. That night, I decided something had to change. I wanted to do something for myself. Something that would make them see me. Not as a wallet, not as the responsible one, but as a person. A daughter. A sister. I wanted to host Thanksgiving. I wanted to bring everyone together. I wanted them to be proud of me. If you've ever felt like the family ATM, let me know in the comments. Because what happened next? I wish I'd seen it coming. I made the decision on September 10th. I was driving home from work, stuck in traffic on I-75, when the idea hit me. Thanksgiving. I'd host Thanksgiving. Not at my condo. It was too small. Not at my parents' house. Mom would take over and I'd end up doing dishes while Brittany got credit. Somewhere special. Somewhere that said, I did this. I made this happen. I remembered the lakeside manor. I'd been there once for a work event. It sat on the edge of a lake in Northville, all stone and timber, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water. They had a private dining room called the Hemlock Suite. Elegant without being pretentious. On September 15th, I called and made a reservation. Table for 12. November 28th, 6 o'clock. The manager, a woman named Claire, walked me through the options. We have a preset 5-course menu for Thanksgiving, she said. $185 per person, plus a wine pairing for an additional $52 per person if you'd like. I did the math in my head. 12 people. Wine pairing. That's $28.44. Plus gratuity, she added gently. Let's round it to $28.50, I said. I'll put down the deposit today. $850, non-refundable. I hung up and sat in my car for 5 minutes, hands shaking. It was a lot of money, but this mattered. I wanted them to see me as more than just a wallet. I wanted them to be proud of me. God, I was naive. I spent 3 evenings in early November making the invitations by hand. Craft paper, calligraphy I'd learned from a YouTube tutorial, pressed flowers I'd dried from my garden. Each one was personal. I mailed them on November 1st. Physical cards, because I wanted it to feel special. I also sent a paperless post version at 6:47 p.m. just to make sure everyone got the message. The subject line read, "You're invited, Thanksgiving at Lakeside Manor." The message? I'd be honored to host our family this year at a place that means something to me. Let's make new memories. Love, Alicia. Brittany texted back within an hour. Cute, Connor replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Mom and Dad called the next day. We'll be there, sweetie, Mom said. This is so thoughtful. I should have noticed the pause before. Thoughtful. The slight hesitation. Grandpa Lawrence was the only one who actually called to say, "This is wonderful, dear. I'm looking forward to it." His voice was warm, genuine. I didn't know then that he was the only one who meant it. November 20th, 8 days before Thanksgiving. My phone rang at 7:52 p.m. Brittany. Hey, Liz, she said, too casual. So I was thinking, why don't we do Thanksgiving at my place this year? Potluck style, more casual. The kids would be more comfortable. I frowned, setting down the book I'd been reading. I already booked Lakeside. I sent invitations. I know, but... She sighed. It's just so formal, you know? And expensive. We could do something low-key. More... us? I put down a deposit. It's non-refundable. Silence. Then... Well, that's your choice, I guess. The way she said your choice felt like a slap. Like I'd done something wrong. Brittany, I really want to do this. I want to host everyone. Okay. Her tone had gone flat. If that's what you want. It is. Fine. See you there then. She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, feeling like I'd just failed a test I didn't know I was taking. She said your choice like it was an accusation. I found out later, much later, what happened that night. After Brittany hung up on me, she opened a group chat. Smart Family Core. It had been created on November 18th. 4 members. Mom, Dad, Brittany, Connor. I wasn't in it. Neither was Grandpa. Brittany's message at 8:03 p.m. Just talked to Alicia. She's dead set on this lakeside thing. $28.50 for one dinner. That's insane. Mom, 8:06 p.m. She's showing off. This is exactly what I was worried about. She thinks because she makes more money, she's better than us. Dad, 8:10 p.m. It does seem excessive. Connor, 8:15 p.m. Should we just not go? There was a pause. 3 minutes. Then Brittany. What if we did? What if we let her sit there? Mom. She needs to learn humility. This whole thing is arrogant. Brittany. Exactly. Let her sit there alone. Maybe she'll finally get it. Dad. I agree. It's for her own good. Connor. Are we sure about this? Mom. Connor, your sister has gotten too big for her britches. A little humiliation will remind her what family is really about. 47 messages over 3 days. Planning, coordinating, making sure everyone was on the same page. I had no idea this chat existed, but Grandpa did. November 22nd, 2 days before Thanksgiving, 3:18 p.m. My mother made a mistake, a small one, the kind of mistake that changes everything. She meant to send a screenshot to my father. They're both saved in her phone under G, Gerald and Grandpa. The contacts are right next to each other. She sent it to Grandpa instead. The screenshot showed the group chat. Brittany's message. Let her sit there alone. Maybe she'll finally get it. 3 seconds later, Mom realized. Sorry, Dad. Wrong person. Ignore that. Grandpa's reply came 2 minutes later. Just one word. Understood. But he didn't ignore it. He called his lawyer that same afternoon, Rebecca Steinberg. She'd handled his estate planning for 20 years. She knew every detail of his finances, his properties, his will. Rebecca, he said, his voice steady, I need you to draw up an amendment, and I need documentation. Everything they've taken from her. Can you do that? Of course, Lawrence. What's this about? It's about making sure my granddaughter knows she's not alone. He didn't ignore it. He called his lawyer that same afternoon. Have you ever planned something with your whole heart only to feel it slipping away? Drop a broken heart if you've been there. November 28th, 2024. Thanksgiving Day. I woke up at 6 a.m. Couldn't sleep. Too excited. Too nervous. I'd picked out my outfit 3 days earlier. A navy dress. Simple but elegant with a cream cardigan. I did my makeup carefully. Curled my hair. I wanted to look put together. Like someone who had their life figured out. I arrived at the Lakeside Manor at 5:45 p.m. 15 minutes early. Claire, the manager, greeted me at the entrance. Ms. Smart, everything is ready. Would you like to see the table? The Hemlock Suite was on the second floor. The room glowed with soft amber light. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the lake, now dark and still, reflecting the last streaks of sunset. The table was perfect. 12 place settings, white linens, gold-rimmed plates. I'd brought name cards, hand-lettered, each one. Mom, Dad, Grandpa, Brittany, Trevor, Connor, the kids. In the center, a centerpiece of small pumpkins, pine cones, and candles flickered gently. Everything looks beautiful, Ms. Smart, Claire said. Your family is going to love this. I smiled. I hope so. At 5:58, I texted the family group chat, the one I was in, the general one for logistics. Can't wait to see everyone. 2 minutes? No one replied. 6 p.m. I sat down in my seat, smoothing my dress. Any minute now. 6:05 p.m. I check my phone. No messages. 6:10 p.m. I texted Mom directly. Mom, you on your way? Delivered. Not read. 6:12 p.m. Connor, Dad? Delivered. Not read. 6:15 p.m. I called Mom. Straight to voicemail. My heart started pounding. Maybe they were running late. Maybe there was traffic. Maybe. 6:18 p.m. A waiter approached. Young guy, early 20s, kind eyes. Ma'am, would you like us to start bringing out appetizers? Or would you prefer to wait? 5 more minutes, I said, forcing a smile. He nodded and left. 6:20 p.m. I texted the group. Guys, I'm getting worried. Please respond. Nothing. 6:25 p.m. I called Dad. Voicemail. 6:30 p.m. I called Brittany. Voicemail. 6:35 p.m. I opened Facebook. I don't know why. Just scrolling, trying to distract myself. And then I saw it. At 6:18, the waiter asked if we should start bringing out appetizers. I said, 5 more minutes. Brittany's post, 6 minutes old, a photo. Everyone. Mom, Dad, Connor, Brittany, Trevor, the kids. Around Brittany's dining room table laughing, holding wine glasses. A massive turkey in the center. The caption, Grateful for family traditions #Thanksgiving at home. Location tagged. Farmington Hills, MI. Posted at 6:31 p.m. I stared at my phone. My hand started shaking. I zoomed in on the photo. Mom was wearing the sweater I gave her for her birthday. The burgundy one with the pearl buttons. Connor had his arm around Dad. Everyone looked happy. 47 likes. Comments already rolling in. Beautiful family. Happy Thanksgiving. Love this. I refreshed. 53 likes now. They weren't coming. They were never coming. My hand started shaking. I zoomed in. Mom was wearing the sweater I gave her for her birthday. The waiter came back at 6:42 p.m. He didn't say anything at first. Just looked at the empty chairs. Looked at me. Ma'am, he said gently, would you like to order, or... His voice trailed off. He knew. Of course he knew. Just me tonight, I said. My voice sounded strange, hollow. His face fell. Pity. I saw pity. I'm so sorry. Would you like us to remove the other settings? No. The word came out sharp. I softened. No. Leave them. I'll take the full meal. For one. Of course. He walked away. I saw him whisper something to another server. They both glanced at me. At table T4, across the room, a woman leaned toward her husband. Whispered. He looked over. Looked away quickly. I ordered the entire 5-course menu, butternut squash soup, mixed green salad, herb-roasted turkey with all the sides, pumpkin pie with whipped cream. I ate mechanically. The soup was too hot. The salad was fine, I think. I don't remember. The turkey tasted like nothing. I cried. Quiet, steady tears that I wiped away with the expensive linen napkin that probably cost more than my first car payment. A server refilled my water glass without a word. I sat there, eating turkey I couldn't taste, crying into linen napkins that cost more than my first car payment. 7:15 p.m. I was on the 3rd course. Mashed potatoes, untouched, going cold. I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, the tap of a cane on hardwood. I looked up. Grandpa Lawrence stood in the doorway. He wore a dark suit and tie, his silver hair combed neatly. He leaned on his cane. He'd started using one last year after a fall, but he stood straight. Tall. Claire was beside him, guiding him toward my table. Alicia, he said quietly. My voice broke. Grandpa, they didn't come. They all... I know, sweetheart. He sat down in the chair marked Dad, took off his coat, folded it carefully over the back of the chair. I know everything. The waiter appeared. Can I get you anything, sir? Coffee. Black. Grandpa looked at me. Really looked at me. His eyes were sharp, clear. Not the distant, polite gaze I was used to. This was something else. Focused. Angry. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a manila envelope. Thick. Sealed. Before you eat another bite, he said, you need to see this. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a manila envelope. Before you eat another bite, he said, you need to see this. If you've ever been betrayed by the people you loved most, you'll understand what I felt next. Stay with me. I stared at the envelope. My name was written on the front in Grandpa's careful handwriting. Open it, he said. My hands shook as I broke the seal. Inside, 23 pages, printed, organized with tabs. The first page was a screenshot, a group chat called Smart Family Core. I didn't recognize it at first. Then I saw the names. Mom, Dad, Brittany, Connor. Not me. I started reading. Brittany, November 18th, 8:03 p.m. Just talked to Alicia. She's dead set on this lakeside thing. $2,850 for one dinner. That's insane. Mom, 8:06 p.m. She's showing off. This is exactly what I was worried about. She thinks because she makes more money. She's better than us. My throat tightened. Brittany, 8:47 p.m. What if we let her sit there? Let her sit there alone. Mom, 8:51 p.m. She needs to learn humility. Dad, 8:54 p.m. I agree. It's for her own good. 47 messages, over 3 days. Planning this. Coordinating. Making sure everyone stayed away. I looked up at Grandpa. My vision blurred. They planned this? Keep reading, he said quietly. My mother called me arrogant for wanting to buy them dinner. Pages 2 through 8 were a spreadsheet. Excel, color-coded. At the top, financial transfers. Alicia Smart to family members, 2017 to 2024. Each row was a transaction. Date, amount, stated reason, actual use. October 12th, 2017, $8,500. Connor student loans. Next column. Connor purchased motorcycle, KBB value $7,200. November 2017. March 22nd, 2019. $12,000. Brittany wedding venue deposit. Next column. Venue actual cost $8,500 per public invoice. Remainder unaccounted. November 4th, 2021. $6,800. Furnace emergency. Next column. Parents posted photos from Traverse City weekend trip, November 6th to 8th. Hotel receipt attached. See Appendix C. I flipped to Appendix C, a printed receipt from the Grand Traverse Resort. 2 nights, King Suite. I went back to the spreadsheet, line after line, 17 transactions. At the bottom, highlighted in red, total, $127,500. I couldn't breathe. How did you? I started. I'm a lawyer, Alicia. I know how to pull records. Some of this is public. Social media posts, property records. Some you gave me access to when you thought I was updating my will. I had. Last summer. He'd asked me to send bank statements for estate planning purposes. I'd sent them without question. Not one person had ever said thank you. Not one. Pages 9 through 14 were screenshots. Facebook, Instagram, printed in color. March 18th, 2022. Connor's post. Photo of him standing next to a Ford F-150. Shiny. New. Caption. Finally upgraded. Next page. My bank statement. February 10th, 2022. Transfer to Connor. $15,000. Memo. Dad's medical emergency. June 10th, 2023. Brittany's Instagram. Sunset photo, beach, palm trees. Caption, much needed getaway. Location, Maui, Hawaii. Next page, my Venmo. May 28th, 2023. $4,200 to mom. Memo, roof repair. Grandpa had highlighted the dates in yellow marker. The correlation was obvious. I thought of every time I'd sent money, every time I'd checked my account afterward, feeling that little stab of anxiety, wondering if I could afford it, doing it anyway. They hadn't just taken my money, they'd celebrated with it. While lying to my face? They didn't just take my money, they celebrated with it while lying to my face. Pages 15 through 18 were legal documents. The first was a promissory note, dated September 14th, 2015. Loan agreement, Lawrence Sterling, lender, to Gerald and Diane Smart, borrowers. Principal, $180,000. Interest rate, 0%. Terms, pay when able, good faith. I blinked. You loaned them money? For the house, Grandpa said. They wanted to buy the place in Farmington Hills but couldn't qualify for a mortgage big enough. I helped. 0 interest. No deadline. I told them to pay me back when they could. How much have they paid back? $60,000 over 9 years. $120,000 still owed. The next page was a letter, dated November 23rd, 2024. Yesterday. From Rebecca Steinberg, attorney at law. Demand for immediate repayment, loan account number 2, 015-0914-LS/GDS. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Smart. This letter serves as formal notice of debt collection pursuant to the promissory note dated September 14th, 2015. Due to breach of good faith, the lender demands immediate repayment of the outstanding balance, $120,000. Failure to remit full payment within 30 days will result in lien placement on the property located at 4782 Oakwood Drive, Farmington Hills, Michigan 48335. I looked at Grandpa. You're calling in the loan? Yes. They'll have to sell the house. Or refinance, if they can. His voice was calm. The house is worth about $420,000 according to the most recent Zillow estimate. If they sell, they'll walk away with maybe $280,000 after paying me and covering closing costs. That's still a significant amount. They'll survive. I stared at him, this quiet, gentle man who drank loose-leaf tea and read legal journals for fun. He wasn't quiet right now. He was cold, precise. A lawyer executing a contract. Grandpa had been letting them live debt-free for 9 years, and now he was calling it in. Pages 19 through 23. The first was a copy of Grandpa's will, dated March 2018. Estate value, approximately $1.2 million. Property, investments, savings. Distribution, Diane and Gerald Smart, 60%, $720,000. Alicia Smart, Brittany Smart, Connor Smart. Split remaining 40% equally, approximately $160,000 each. Standard. Typical. Then I turn the page. Amendment to Last Will and Testament, Lawrence Sterling. Dated November 26th, 2024, 2 days ago. Distribution, revised. Diane Smart and Gerald Smart, 20% of estate, $240,000. Alicia Smart, 50% of estate, $600,000. Brittany Smart and Connor Smart, split remaining 30%, $90,000 each. I read it 3 times. 50%. $600,000. Attached was a handwritten note on his personal stationery, his handwriting, shaky but clear. Alicia, they have used you. I watched it happen for years and said nothing. My mistake. I saw Diane's message. I saw their cruelty. This ends now. You owe them nothing. They owe you everything. I have made sure they will remember that. With love and regret that I didn't act sooner. Grandpa Lawrence. My hands shook. The paper blurred. I looked up at him. His eyes were steel. Hard. Protective. What do you want to do? He asked. I looked up at my grandfather. His eyes were steel. What do you want to do? He asked. I sat there for 30 seconds, silent, staring at the 11 empty chairs around the table. I thought about every text message, every emergency, every time I'd checked my bank account and felt that knot in my stomach, every time I'd said yes when I wanted to say no, every time I'd swallowed my anger because family helps family. I looked at Grandpa, the man who'd been watching, documenting, building a case while I'd been bleeding myself dry trying to prove I was worth loving. Something shifted inside me. The grief turned cold. Sharp. I want them here, I said. My voice was steady, calm. Right now. Grandpa studied my face. Are you sure you want to do this tonight? They humiliated me in public. I looked around the dining room, other families eating, laughing, celebrating together. I'm returning the favor. He pulled out his phone, a flip phone, hilariously outdated, but it worked. He dialed, put it on speaker, 2 rings. Dad? My mother's voice, cheerful, bright, like nothing was wrong. Diane. His voice was granite. I'm at Lakeside Manor with Alicia. We need to discuss the will. Immediately. Bring Gerald, Brittany, and Connor. Pause. Dad, it's Thanksgiving night. Can't this wait? No, it cannot. I've made significant changes. You'll want to hear them in person. I expect you here in 30 minutes. We're in the middle of dinner. So is Alicia. 30 minutes, Diane. He hung up. I heard Mom say shit before the line went dead. She never curses. Comment receipts if you think she should have confronted them. Because what happens next? I've never felt more powerful in my life. We sat in silence. Grandpa sipped his coffee. I pushed mashed potatoes around my plate. Thank you, I said finally. Don't thank me yet. At 7:55, my phone buzzed. Mom. We're on our way. What's this about? I didn't reply. At 8:10, another buzz. Brittany. Alicia, what's going on? Grandpa sounded upset. I turned my phone face down. At 8:23, I heard voices in the hallway. Footsteps. Multiple people. Claire appeared first, looking apologetic. Behind her. Mom. Dad. Brittany. Connor. They walked into the Hemlock suite and stopped. Saw me. Saw Grandpa. Saw the table set for 12 with only 2 of us sitting there. Mom's face went pale. Brittany's eyes darted to the empty chairs. To me. To Grandpa. Connor looked at the floor. What's going on? Mom asked. Her voice was tight. Sit down, I said. Alicia. Sit. Down. They sat. Slowly. Unwillingly. Dad took the head of the table opposite Grandpa. Mom next to him. Brittany and Connor on the sides. 7 empty seats remained. Name cards still in place. The kids. Trevor. All the people who were supposed to be here. Brittany opened her mouth. Listen, we were just at my place. We didn't realize you were serious about— Sit down, Alicia repeated. Connor started to speak. Hey, Sit. Down. Her voice cut through the room. Not loud, but absolute. They sat. Grandpa slid the manila envelope to the center of the table. Before we discuss my will, he said slowly, let's discuss this. Mom stared at the envelope like it might explode. I reached forward and opened it. Pulled out the first page, the screenshot of the group chat. I laid it on the table. Smooth. Deliberate. Let's start with the group chat. I said. Sit down, I said. I read aloud, slowly, every word. Brittany, November 18th, 8:03 p.m. Just talked to Alicia. She's dead set on this lakeside thing. $28.50 for one dinner. That's insane. Brittany's face went red. I kept reading. Mom, 8:06 p.m. She's showing off. This is exactly what I was worried about. She thinks because she makes more money, she's better than us. Mom's mouth opened. No sound came out. Brittany, 8:47 p.m. What if we let her sit there? Let her sit there alone. I looked up, met Brittany's eyes. She looked away. Mom, 8:51 p.m. She needs to learn humility. Alicia, Mom started. I held up a hand. I'm not done. Dad, 8:54 p.m. I agree. It's for her own good. Dad stared at the table. Silent. 47 messages, I said. Over 3 days. Planning. Coordinating. Making absolutely sure I'd sit here alone. Sweetheart, that was taken out of context. Mom tried. Which part? My voice was ice. The part where you called me arrogant? Or the part where Brittany said, let her sit there alone? Brittany's face crumpled. Alicia, we were just venting. We didn't mean... You didn't mean to abandon me? You accidentally coordinated a boycott? Dad cleared his throat. Alicia, your mother and I felt that the expense was unnecessary. Unnecessary. I pulled out the spreadsheet, slapped it on the table. Let's talk about expenses. You didn't mean to abandon me? You accidentally coordinated a boycott? I turned the spreadsheet so they could see it. $127,500, I said. 8 years. Connor's face went white. Let's go line by line, shall we? I pointed to the first entry. October 2017. Connor, you needed $8,500 for student loans. Emergency. You were drowning. Remember? Connor nodded, barely. November 2017. You bought a $7,200 motorcycle. I have the registration, the photos you posted, the comments from your friends congratulating you. His mouth opened, closed. March 2019, Brittany, $12,000 for your wedding venue deposit. Brittany's jaw tightened. The venue cost $8,500. I called them. I have the invoice. Where did the other $3,500 go? She said nothing. November 2021. Mom, Dad, $6,800. Furnace emergency. You were freezing. I pulled out the next page. Facebook screenshots. Mom and Dad at a winery, smiling, wine glasses raised. 6 days later, Traverse City, weekend getaway, the Grand Traverse Resort, King Suite, $240 a night. Mom's face was scarlet. I kept going. Line by line, transaction by transaction. Connor's truck, Brittany's Hawaii trip. Dad's car trouble that coincided with Connor's concert tickets. You never asked me to be a martyr, I said, looking at Brittany. You're right. You just asked me to pay. Over, and over, and over. A woman at table T9 was watching. An elderly couple. They weren't even pretending not to stare. Mom tried to reach across the table, to touch my hand. I pulled back. Don't you dare, I said. Mom tried to reach for my hand. I pulled it back. Don't you dare, I said. Grandpa hadn't spoken yet. He'd been watching, letting me lead. Now he leaned forward. Diane, Gerald. His voice was quiet, controlled, terrifying in its calm. You owe me $120,000. Mom blinked. Dad, we have an agreement. We're paying you back when we can. I'm calling in the loan. You have 30 days. The color drained from her face. Dad, please, we can't. We'll lose the house. Then you'll learn what Alicia felt tonight. Loss. Brittany stood up. Grandpa, this is insane. You can't just— Sit down, Brittany. She sat. He pulled out the next document. The will amendment. I've also changed my will. Alicia now receives 50% of my estate. Approximately $600,000. Silence. You two, he nodded at Brittany and Connor, will split 30%, 90,000 each. He looked at my parents. Diane and Gerald, you will receive 20%, 240,000. Mom's hands shook. Dad, you can't do this. I already have. Signed, notarized, witnessed by my attorney, legally binding. Dad's face was gray. This is because of tonight? This is because you have spent 8 years exploiting your daughter while favoring your other children. This is because you planned, actively planned, to humiliate her. This is because when I asked Diane 6 months ago how Alicia was doing, she said, "Oh, she's fine. She makes plenty of money." His voice hardened, as if that was all she was, a paycheck. The room was silent except for the quiet murmur of conversation from other tables. A waiter hovered near the bar, uncertain. Table T4. The woman whispered to her husband, "Oh my God." Brittany's mouth opened. No sound came out. I leaned forward, folded my hands on the table. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. My voice was steady, clear. "You will leave me alone. Completely. No calls, no texts, no emergencies, no guilt trips, no showing up at my condo. Nothing. Alicia, you're our daughter," Dad started. "And you treated me like a bank account." I pulled out a piece of paper. I'd written it during the wait. My terms. "If you want any relationship with me in the future, you will do 3 things. 1. Apologize. Publicly. A real apology. Not, 'I'm sorry you feel that way.' An acknowledgement of what you did." Mom opened her mouth. I kept talking. 2. Family therapy. 1 year. Minimum. All of us. Or none of us. 3. Repayment. $127,500. I'll draft a payment plan. Reasonable terms. But you will pay me back. Every cent. I looked at each of them. "If you refuse any of these terms, I'm done. Forever. You will not be invited to my wedding if I ever have one. You will not meet my children if I ever have them. You will not be part of my life." Connor spoke quietly. "I'll do it. I'll pay you back. I'm sorry." His voice cracked on the last word. Brittany's face was red. Angry. "This is ridiculous. You're being vindictive." "I'm being clear," I said. "For the first time in my life, I'm being clear about what I deserve." The waiter was still hovering, uncertain whether to approach. Mom started crying. Real tears. Mascara running. I didn't feel a thing. Mom tried one last time. "After everything we've done for you," I laughed. Short. Bitter. Sharp. "Everything you've done?" I stood up. "You gave birth to me. Congratulations. That's not a free pass to bleed me dry for 8 years." Grandpa stood too, slowly, leaning on his cane. "This conversation is over," he said. "You may leave." They sat there, frozen. "Now," Grandpa added. Dad stood first, then Mom, Brittany, Connor. They walked toward the door, slow, shell-shocked. At the doorway, Diane turned. "One last time. You'll regret this," she said. I met her eyes. "The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner." They left. The door closed. The restaurant erupted in quiet murmurs, heads turning. Whispers. I sat back down. My whole body was shaking. Adrenaline, relief, grief, rage, all at once. The waiter approached, cautious. Would you like to see the dessert menu?" Grandpa looked at me, then at the waiter. He smiled, soft, kind. "Yes," he said. "2 chocolate lava cakes, please." The waiter came over. "Would you like to see the dessert menu?" Grandpa smiled. "Yes. 2 chocolate lava cakes, please." Would you have done the same? Let me know. And if you're rooting for Alicia, hit that subscribe button. The next 48 hours were hell. My phone started blowing up at 9:47 p.m. on Thanksgiving night. The first text was from Mom. "How could you do this to your family?" Then another. "Your father is devastated." Then another. "You've destroyed everything." By midnight, I had 14 missed calls from her. Brittany started texting at 6 a.m. on Friday. "I hope you're happy. Mom is devastated. Dad can't sleep. This is on you. You've always been selfish, but this is a new low. Grandpa's being manipulated. He's old. He doesn't understand what he's doing." Connor sent one message. "I meant what I said. I'm sorry." I didn't respond to any of them. At 10:30 a.m., I blocked Mom, then Dad, then Brittany. I left Connor unblocked. I don't know why. Maybe because his apology felt real. For 3 days, I turned my phone off. I sat in my condo, wrapped in a blanket, drinking tea, staring at nothing. Dr. Patel called on Monday, emergency session. "How are you doing?" she asked. I started crying. Couldn't stop. "I don't know," I said. "I don't know if I did the right thing." "Do you regret it?" I thought about it. Really thought. "No," I said finally. "I don't." I turned my phone off. For 3 days, I didn't exist to them. On December 3rd, Grandpa's attorney sent the formal demand letter. Certified mail. Signature required. Gerald and Diane had 30 days to repay $120,000 or face lien placement on their home. I found out later, through Connor, that they panicked. They tried to refinance the house. Denied. Their credit wasn't good enough. They called Grandpa. Begged. He didn't answer. They asked Brittany for money. She had none. She and Trevor were living paycheck to paycheck. They considered selling the house. Put out feelers with a realtor. On December 28th, they took out a home equity line of credit. High interest rate, terrible terms. But they got the money. They paid Grandpa on January 2nd, 2025, one day before the deadline. Grandpa deposited the check. Then he called me. "It's done," he said. "How do you feel?" I asked, like I should have done this years ago. I didn't ask Grandpa if they paid. I didn't want to know. Not yet. On December 20th, Connor texted me. "Can we talk?" I stared at the message for an hour. Didn't reply. On January 10th, 2025, my phone buzzed. Venmo notification. "Connor Smart sent you $500. The note said, "Payment $170. I'm going to make this right, sis." I did the math. 35,000 divided by 500. 70 months. Almost 6 years. I stared at my phone for 10 minutes. Part of me wanted to send it back, to tell him it was too late. Part of me wanted to believe him. I didn't reply, but I didn't send it back. Every month after that, on the 10th, another $500 appeared. February 10th, March 10th, April 10th. He never missed one. On February 12th, 2025, he showed up at my condo. I almost didn't answer the door, but I looked through the peephole and saw him standing there, hands in his pockets, looking nervous. I opened the door. "Hey," he said. "Hey. Can I come in?" I hesitated, then stepped aside. We sat in my living room. Awkward. Silent. Finally, he spoke. "I need to say this in person. I was a coward. I let them use you. I used you. And I'm sorry." I didn't say anything. "I know 500 a month doesn't erase 8 years," he continued, "but I'm going to pay back every cent and—" I started therapy. Not because you asked, because I needed to. "Why now?" I asked. He looked at me, really looked at me. "Because that night at Lakeside, I saw your face, and I realized I'd never actually looked at you before. I just saw what I needed." what I could get. His voice cracked. I'm sorry, Alicia. I'm really, really sorry. We talked for 2 hours. I didn't forgive him. Not yet. But I listened. When he left, I said, "You have a long way to go, but this is a start." He nodded. I know. I told him, "You have a long way to go, but this is a start." Brittany never apologized. On December 15th, she unfriended me on Facebook, unfollowed me on Instagram, blocked my number. Then she posted a photo of her, mom, dad, and the kids. Everyone smiling, matching Christmas pajamas. Caption: sometimes family shows their true colors, grateful for my real family. A mutual friend sent me a screenshot. Did you see this? I looked at it, read the comments. Stay strong, Brit. You deserve better. Some people are so toxic. I felt nothing. No anger. No hurt. Just a strange, hollow indifference. She thought she was hurting me. She was freeing me. She thought she was hurting me. She was freeing me. March, April, May. Silence from my parents. Silence from Brittany. Connor texted occasionally. Updates. Payment sent. Hope you're doing okay? I started responding. Short. Careful. Thanks. I'm fine. In May, he told me, Mom and Dad paid Grandpa. They took out a home equity loan. High interest. They're pissed. And Brittany? She's barely talking to them either. Money issues. She asked them to help with her mortgage. They said no. Now she's upset. I almost laughed. Almost. It's a mess, Connor said. But you're free from it. He was right. I hadn't spoken to my parents in 6 months. I didn't miss them. Therapy helped. Dr. Patel introduced me to a word I'd never heard before: enmeshment. It's when family boundaries are blurred, she explained. When you can't tell where you end and they begin. When their needs become your responsibility. That's what this was? Yes. I learned I was allowed to say no. I learned that love shouldn't cost me my peace. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. Therapy helped. I learned the word enmeshment. I learned I was allowed to say no. Healing isn't linear. If you're cutting off toxic family, tell me your story in the comments. You're not alone. February 2026, 15 months after that Thanksgiving. People ask me if I regret it. Confronting them, cutting them off, letting Grandpa change his will. I don't. I regret the years I spent believing I had to buy love. I regret not seeing Grandpa's quiet protection sooner. I regret letting them make me feel small, but confronting them, setting boundaries, watching them face consequences, I'd do it again. Connor texted this morning. Payment number 15, $500. Total paid, $7,500. He's never missed one. Not once. We meet once a month now, for coffee. At a place called Cafe Luna in Royal Oak. It's slow. Careful. We're rebuilding something. I don't know what yet. Maybe a real sibling relationship? Maybe just mutual respect. But it's honest. And that's more than we ever had before. I regret the years I spent believing I had to buy love. But confronting them, I'd do it again. Last week, over coffee, Connor told me something. Mom asked if I'd talk to you about Thanksgiving this year. I raised an eyebrow. What did you say? I said I'd ask. But I told her you don't owe us anything. What do you think? He stirred his coffee. Quiet. Thoughtful. I think you should do what makes you happy. I smiled. Small. Real. Thank you. For what? For not pressuring me. For respecting my choice. He nodded. You taught me that. Boundaries. Respect. I'm still learning. He's different now. Or maybe I'm just seeing him clearly for the first time. He's in therapy. He told me about it in March. Twice a week. Working through guilt, shame, Family dynamics? My therapist asked me why I let them treat you that way, he said once. I didn't have an answer. I just did. And now? Now I know that silence is complicity. And I was complicit. I haven't decided about Thanksgiving yet. Maybe I'll invite him. Maybe I won't. And that's okay. I haven't decided yet. And that's okay. Once a month, Grandpa and I have lunch. Sometimes at his house, sometimes at a restaurant, and sometimes, when I'm feeling brave, we go back to the Lakeside Manor. We sit at table T7, the same table, the Hemlock Suite. The first time we went back was in March 2025, 4 months after that night. Claire recognized me. Ms. Smart, it's wonderful to see you again. I smiled. Table for 2, please. We sat, ordered, ate. Grandpa raised his coffee cup. 2 reclaiming spaces. I clinked my water glass against it. 2 reclaiming spaces. Last month he told me he'd updated his will again. Grandpa, you don't need to. It's not about need, Alicia. It's about principle. He's 89 now. Slower, but sharp as ever. You gave me more than money, I told him once. You gave me proof I wasn't crazy. He reached across the table, took my hand. You're stronger than all of them combined, Alicia. Don't forget that. I won't. You're stronger than all of them combined, Alicia. Don't forget that. Thanksgiving 2025. I didn't go to my parents'. I didn't go to Brittany's. I hosted. At my condo. 8 people. My friend Jenna from work. Her partner. 2 colleagues. My neighbor. An older woman named Ruth. Connor. Grandpa. And me. Potluck. Everyone brought something. Jenna made mac and cheese. Ruth brought pie. I roasted a small turkey. 8 pounds. Nothing fancy. We ate on mismatched plates. Drank wine from Target. Laughed about work drama and bad dating stories. At one point, Jenna raised her glass. This is what Thanksgiving should feel like. Connor, sitting across from me, nodded quietly. It really is. I looked around the table, at faces that chose to be there. Not because they had to. Not because they needed something. Because they wanted to. Total cost, $140. Groceries, wine, dessert. 8 people. 0 stress. 0 guilt. That night, after everyone left, I sat on my couch with a cup of tea and cried. Good tears. Healing tears. I cried that night. But they were good tears. I've learned something over the past 15 months. You can't buy belonging. You can't earn love by making yourself smaller. By giving until you break. By silencing your needs. Family is supposed to be the people who see you, who celebrate you, who show up. Not the people who take and call it love. I spent 8 years trying to prove I was worth loving. I gave $127,500. I gave my time, my energy, my peace. And you know what I learned? I was always worth it. They just couldn't see it. Or maybe they saw it and didn't care. Either way, it's not my problem anymore. Dr. Patel asked me in our last session, what do you want people to know? If someone's in your situation, what would you tell them? I thought about it. I'd tell them that you're not a bank. You're a person. And people deserve to be loved for who they are, not what they provide. And if they can't see that, then walk away. It'll hurt. It'll feel impossible. But on the other side of that pain is freedom. She smiled. You've come a long way, Alicia. Yeah, I said. I have. I was always worth it. They just couldn't see it. I don't know if I'll ever reconcile with my parents. Or Brittany. Maybe someday. Maybe never. I'm not holding my breath. But I'm not closing the door completely either. If they meet my terms, real apology, therapy, repayment, maybe we can try. Maybe. But I'm not shrinking myself to make them comfortable anymore. I'm not apologizing for having boundaries. I'm not pretending everything's fine when it's not. Connor asked me last week, "Do you think they'll ever change?" I shrugged. I don't know, but that's not my responsibility. I can only control what I do, and I choose peace. Even if it means losing them, I didn't lose them. They lost me. He nodded, quiet, thoughtful. That Thanksgiving, I sat at a table for 12, alone, humiliated, heartbroken. Today, I sit at tables with people who show up, not because they need something, but because they want me there. That's the difference. That's everything. They didn't break me. They freed me. If this story resonated with you, I want you to know something. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not selfish for having boundaries. You are not cruel for walking away from people who hurt you, even if they're family, especially if they're family. Family isn't about blood, it's about respect, effort, showing up, reciprocity. And if the people who share your DNA can't give you that, then find people who will. Build your own table. Invite people who celebrate you, who see you, who value you for who you are, not what you can give. It won't be easy. There will be guilt, grief, doubt. But on the other side of that pain is something I never thought I'd have: peace. If you're the family ATM, if you're the one always giving, always fixing, always bending, stop. You deserve more. And it's okay to walk away until they understand that. Thank you for listening to my story. If it helped you in any way, please share it. Someone in your life needs to hear that it's okay to choose themselves. Remember, you are not a bank. You are a person. Act like it.